you all. It's amazing. If you can join on camera, it's even more amazing.
I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. One day, when we're getting wrinkly and our hair's grey, a rusty old banger in the driveway, one of us will maybe wear a toupee, but I will be in love with you.
You can unmute and sing with us. All right. Welcome everybody again. I'm looking where my Spotify is so I can stop it. Otherwise, I'm going to hear the song over and over again. Seems to be good. Perfect. Welcome everybody. Jessica, you just
can't win.
Excuse me. There is a
you.
Where is it?
Red or black, I
What is
lose.
happening?
I'm cracking my chest, giving my best. You're throwing it back. I'm trying to be real. So why do you feel?
You guys,
you're
there's
under
music
attack?
going on and it's
I
uncertain where it
can't
comes from.
win
It's a secret
with
singer.
you.
Stop singing. Okay, we found it. Super. Welcome back everybody in week 2 of the Public Speaking Academy, aka the Transformational Speaking Revolution. I think that some people will still join. I think Linda will join and Nilsa will join, but you're already here, which is absolutely amazing. So we're going to start right away. I love that I saw some of you yesterday, or at least pieces of yesterday. It was kind of a bonus momentum call with a lot of other people as well. And today we're here again with our smaller pod, which is absolutely amazing. And what I said last week is that I always start the first training of every single week with some wins. And I would love to hear from every single one of you. The reason why we do this, by the way, is number one, you're going to listen to wins of other people that are related to speaking. And everybody has one, by the way. So I'm explaining it so you have some time to think about what it is for you. You're going to listen to other people's wins, which will help you get exposed to what's possible, right? Because what you're going to learn more and more is how to tell stories in a very elegant and amazing way where people feel engaged. And that is through specificity. So when you are sharing an example, someone else might get inspired in what's possible and vice versa. The second thing is that every single week we're doing this, so your brain start to anticipate on wins, which is overall a really great habit if you're looking at what's right. And third of all is you are now kind of forced to speak up in a group, and the more we practice that and the more you're articulating your words, the better you get over time. So we're getting our reps in as well. So who would love to start? A win of you regarding speaking this week? Otherwise, I'm going to point at someone. Swellen was first and then Jessica. Well done. Good job. Okay, Swellen. There you go.
Was in another this kind of thing from Mastermind, and they also gave us a topic, and I didn't draw blank, and I actually talked about it, and I didn't rehearse and I didn't do anything, and 2 other people talked about their grandmas, and then I just picked the topic off the top of my head about my grandma, and I did it, and it went really well.
Oh. Oh my God, that's a big round of applause. That's
There you go. I need
amazing.
to bow
That's amazing.
down.
That
I
is
was very
super.
happy.
And I always love to kind of like peel the onion on wins because there's always little nuggets that we can all take away from this. Because what I'm hearing, Sue, with the formulation and the words and the stuff that we're learning over here is that you first of all know that speaking is not always something you plan for and then there's this one stage and then there's one moment, but you start to see, wait, there's questions everywhere. People ask me to raise my hand if I have a question, if I have a breakthrough, and every time I raise my hand I help, and this is how I always look. I help the trainer look good. I'm not here to talk about my ego because I'm the one raising their hand. Who here ever hosts trainings, by the way, with a rate of hands? Whoever facilitates a group, coaches people, and then you ask, are there any questions? And then this happens. What
Yeah.
does that do to you as a trainer, right? It's like, okay, please, someone ask a question because I love to answer it right now because it will help the flow. So what I always think, I'm always prepared to help the trainer. So I will anticipate of asking a question. So when they ask, I do it and I help you out. I make the trainer look good. I'm not here to talk and show my ego, but every time I do that, I also get seen and people love the energy and they're like, "Oh my God, girl, what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh my God, I help with speaking." Right? So every time you create the stage by helping other people and by creating that meaning, which I love that you did, they asked me a question and I know I'm a speaker, I raise my hand. Second of all, what I'm hearing is you start to see more and more that stories are not whole life stories of everything you want to say to everybody, because that's always a lot because you're amazing, right? It's a scene of your life. It's a moment in time. It's a story from your story library. And instead of thinking, oh my God, it needs to be perfect, you're just hearing grandma. You're like, I can tell a story about my grandma. Let me go. And then you just land. And this is the skill that we're repeating over and over again. And that's what we're going to dive deeper into more as well today, about specific stories and how the story library really comes to life. So, Sue, that is incredible. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well done.
And
Oh, there's more.
raise my hand now to go first. That's new for you guys too. I'm usually one of the ones. What does KK say? The hiders anonymous.
And now you're the first. Why? Because you're an impact maker.
There you
And you know
go.
that speaking is the
Coming
fastest
out of
way.
my shell. There you go.
There you go. Well done. Oi, oi, oi. So proud of you, Sue. That's incredible. Jessica, bring it on.
Right. So my win is that I'm getting ready to go on a retreat next week on Sunday. And the start of this month, I was already, and Lori, we spoke, so you knew, I was already starting to set the limiting belief that, oh my God, it's going to be so overwhelming. I'm not going to, I'm starting the speaker training. I'm doing a coach training as well. And then I have my job. I work for Tony Robbins and I have certain expectations and we just had a big event. So I'm thinking, one, in terms of hitting my goals, that it's not going to happen. I've just got way too much. And then I caught myself and I said, what are some things that I can shift to make everything happen? So one of them is that I normally would get up at 5 in the morning to go work out. And I shifted and now I get up at 3:50 to get there for 4 o'clock to work out when nobody is there so I can get it done quicker, actually respond to all my clients who are in Germany or wherever the other side of the world, which gives me more time to get so much done, get these trainings in, that I'm meeting every single one of my goals. And I didn't even at the beginning, I didn't even think it could be realistic. And now we're getting close to the end of the month and I've pretty much accomplished committing to the most part. The only ones I couldn't make is leaving early because I have our manager meetings, but otherwise, that was a huge win that I was like, wow, I didn't even think I could do it.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. And I saw Jamie like, because I know that she's very passionate about health and that you're waking up early to get the health part in. I think that creates already a connection right here. And that's the beauty of stories, right? It creates it creates connection on a personal level. And regarding specificities, you mentioned a lot of different things that people can put pictures in their mind's eye, right? You're going to the gym early, responding to people also in Germany, so where does Swellen live, right? So there's already so many emotional connections that you create right here in this group that creates a high emotional connection with you as a person. So these people in this group are extra engaged because you're using examples that really mean something to this. So you can also say all around the world, but you said Germany in specific, right? So where does Swellen live? In Germany. So even
Yeah.
unconsciously, there's like an extra spike of attention. And that's the beauty of using storytelling in a very specific way, right? I sometimes
Yeah.
call it window words. So let's just say sports is a generalization. And if you open the window, it's like, what's behind it? What kind of sports? What gym? What does it look like? What does it feel like? So you want to open up the generalization so people can see, feel, hear, and experience it with you. You wanted to say something else?
Yeah. I was going to say that, speaking of that, so a funny thing is that you were at the UPW event. I had a client that had just attended that event and he wants to go to Date with Destiny in person with his wife. And I was connecting with him while I was at the gym and he realized, he's like, wait a second, aren't you in Florida? I can't believe you're talking to me at this time. And I told him, and I said, I'm at the gym right now. So it works out perfect. And he's like, you get up that early? And he's like, wow. He's like, that's commitment. And I said, yeah, it is. And I said, well, I work for Tony. So that's you just recognize. Actually, I realized I have more energy at 4 o'clock. It's like the perfect time. I actually love it. Now
That's
I get up early. For some reason, 5 o'clock, I sometimes hit that snooze button, but 4 o'clock is like that perfect window where I don't
wow.
know, it just gives me this energy.
Wow. And this is so beautiful and welcome, Linda. We love that you're here. So we talked yesterday in the bonus training. I will reiterate upon it today a little bit about the power of stories that really create or facilitate a breakthrough for someone else. So after telling this small snippet, you can ask a question: who would also love to have more energy? Right? Now, who would love it? Well, everybody, right? And now you're using it as an example to create a breakthrough for someone else so now you can maybe say, okay, so these are the 3 elements that I implemented in order for me to make it happen. Let me go through them. Number 1, and then you have another story of number 1 while teaching number 1. So now you start to see how these small stories go together, and when you craft more and more in your story library, you're more adaptive and flexible, just what Swellen just said, right? She's able to just pick a story. Maybe it was not even saved in her story library, but at some point it becomes a habit. And what I want to plant the seed for you, Jessica, in specific, whatever, for everybody, because you're going to retreat next Sunday. So what I would be focusing on, like, regarding leverage, right? Because sometimes it's not always to put more into a day, but also how can you leverage the moments that you're already having in order for you to get more momentum in those moments. So what if you go through the next week for everybody and think, what are 3 moments that were very memorable that I can save in my story library because I'm going through them? Because I'm so sure that there will be, during the retreat, you will go through your own breakthroughs. There will be teachers who are going to tell amazing stories that are not per se personally about them, but also ones that you can model later for you to get someone else a breakthrough. And also experiences that other people go through that you might, change names or something, but can use as an example to later teach something else. Because what we're going to understand later is how you pick the right stories for the right transformation, and that there's different lenses we look through, and one is your personality. And when people know that you go through to retreats and they have this, and they start to understand, oh, you already said some early to the gym, Tony Robbins, and then retreats. That triangle of perspectives of you as a person says so much about you already, why I know, like, and trust you even more. And you can do that very strategically by choosing the right stories. Does it make sense? So if you go through the week, it's like, what stories am I living right now that I can save and tell later? Because next Wednesday, Laurie's going to ask me what kind of wins, and maybe one wins that you discover that you were in a story and you're going to tell that story.
That's a good
Cool?
question.
All
May I add
right.
something, Marie? Can I just add one thing?
Of course.
Jessica, I have had so many conversations with Lori about different choices she's had, and the conversations have always come down to take the action that's going to make the most interesting story. So for whatever that's worth, as Tony used to say, if you have a life worth living, worth recording, then choose things that are going to make cool stories. So that's just a strategy Lori and I have talked about many times. Don't usually jump in, but I just had to add that.
Yeah. So when you
Oh, I
live
love
bubble
that.
life, you have cool stories to tell, and cool stories to tell create cool transformations for others. And that makes you a transformational speaker who's actually memorable because you're living a memorable life. And then it becomes part of your lifestyle, which honestly, for me, that's what it is all about. What if public speaking is not something you have to do on a stage, but is happening everywhere you go? And better said, what if, and I know you're working with Tony Robbins right now, like what if there's clients during the retreat, because people are people. So I love the leveraging part. Beautiful ad, Monica. Beautiful. So Linda, we're talking about our wins, and Jamie is next. Jamie, what can we celebrate with you?
So I am being consistent. I've been working on going live every Monday at 1 in my Facebook group or on my wall, in my personal or private, whatever, my regular page. And I've been very consistent with it for the last like 5 weeks. And I used to absolutely, if I would go live and somebody would join me, I would end the live. And I've gotten so much better at it that I don't do that anymore, but I also am holding myself accountable. So that's a huge win. And then also collecting my stories. So I did go live this Monday and I kind of fumbled through it, but I didn't care. It didn't matter. I was getting the reps in. But on Sunday, I had a moment where I had a story. So I was at a boardwalk. I was in Santa Cruz with my family this weekend with my dad and my sisters. And we went to the boardwalk to ride rides to relive our childhood because I grew up in Santa Cruz. And going back as an adult is very different. But there was this one ride that I was like, oh, Saturday night, I wanted to go on it. And it was like swinging high and spinning. And it closed right before I went to get on it Saturday night. We went back on Sunday and I rode it. And it was the most terrifying, like, never will I do that again in my life. So I was meditating through the ride as my sister's looking at me going, what is wrong? Like literally as we're on the ride, she's like, are you okay? What are you doing? And I'm like, just trying to breathe and not think that I'm going to die. So I had a good time laughing at myself because I was so sure that I want to ride that ride. It's going to be so fun. And it ended up being the most painful experience of my life recently.
Wow. Wow.
But
okay.
And I stepped into my childhood that I normally would not. So.
Wow. Okay. This is an epic, 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 epic win. Like, first of all, because I'm hearing you say you keep being consistent with lives, and like the fact that you close the live when people show up, let's celebrate it as well. Because you're making the habit of opening the live normal. And now you're adding things to it, right? So instead of thinking, oh, but that's not good. No, that's amazing. You're pushing the live button. If we would do that every single day, on some point, the pushing the button is really, really chill. Now people are there and you're staying, which is absolutely phenomenal. Second thing. Third thing, and this is going to be super cool for everybody. What you're doing right now, Jamie, you just told us a little snippet, a story of your story bank, of your story library, just right now here to us. Now let's imagine that at the end, you say something like, who here started working out and it felt like your worst day of your life? I'm gonna tell you that it doesn't have to end there. And just with that add-on, and then you share about the meditation, and then you go into the health part, you basically use a story of your life to emphasize with the now, what we talked about last week. So you're emphasizing with, okay, who else feels around health like you're about to die, you're doing this. And maybe you use more specificities because you wrote down your now, right? And then you transition to the new, and that's where you go into. So what if, you know, for the next live that you're doing, you go through your personal story library, you select the story that you want to talk about, and then you use that story as fuel for your life, and you just use a transition and ask the audience a question to think of for themselves regarding health. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So when we come to the moment where you're going to create your whole keynote and maybe thoughts in your mind pop up, and I'm sure, Jamie, that you're the only one thinking this. I'm absolutely sure, because Linda, Jessica, Swellen, they don't think something like, oh my God, this is the moment. It's week 8. I'm going to be recorded. You know, I really want to be perfect for this moment. It's certainly only you, Jamie. Then you already practiced those stories piece by piece. And then you start to be more flexible, like what Swellen was just saying, with, okay, these are the right Lego blocks for now. These are the right stories. And now I'm going to put them in together. So the reason why we already started with the story library from the beginning is you're going to add stories and more stories. And now you're downloading the now and the new, and you're starting to think, oh, wait, if this is a story, then I've got another one. And now you start to see that this actually is a habit and a lifestyle. And what Monica just said, if you make a new decision of, okay, now I'm going to do this, and I often have it, you know, I can stay in my comfort zone and do this, and it will be very predictable. Or I have a unicorn opportunity that can go in the extreme positive, and it can be in the extreme learning. And I'm like, oh, do I want to go there again? Like, I finally feel that my nervous system is a little comfortable now. And then I'm like, you know what? Why do I live? Right? And what if it's to be a transformational person? And in order for me to be congruent with my message, I just dare to say yes to opportunities too. So now it becomes a lifestyle. So that's beautiful, Jamie. Before we go to the next exercise, because who here sees that this is not just sharing wins, but actually integrating the learnings of last week and already future pacing to what's coming, right? Linda, what can we celebrate with you?
So first I want to say thank you, Jamie, for that story about roller coasters, because actually I have 2 stories that I'm going to have to add to my storybook exactly about amusement park rides this past summer. But for me, the win was I did a presentation or a course. I had 7 people registered. It was a live presentation and 8 people showed up. And it got a lot of positive feedback. I was really happy about it, plus some tentative calls to be set up for future conversations to be had. Monica, I used your tapping. I think it was successful. I didn't do it completely, but I did get some basic parts of it that I think may have helped because I wasn't nervous. And I did include, I actually was impressed by my own stories. I did include a current event from the day before. Our football team lost the night before, and I did include that in my presentation. And I also had included some personal. So with the help of both of you, it went really well, and I was really happy about it.
Wow. Oh my goody badooties. This is incredible, Linda. Incredible. And I think you're creating the pathway that's absolutely perfect for what we're about to do next. Because first things to highlight, do we see that when Jamie shares something specific, so when she didn't say just generalized information like I went back to my childhood, I did something scary and I really overcame it, and now I'm on the next side, who also wants to go on the next side. But she said, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Santa Monica. I'm not so familiar with America, but it was very specific.
Santa Cruz, south of San
Santa
Francisco.
Cruz. Santa Cruz with my sister, roller coaster, right? So she used very specific things. She opened the window. She opened the window word. She opened the generalization. She made it specific. So not only just like what Jessica was doing with Germany, with health, right? You're doing as well, or Jamie did for you. So
Yeah.
now, and this is the beauty, you all, from storytelling, is when you use specificities, people go into their own imagination, their own memory, where those pictures will be activated, and you go in your own trance. And then when you elegantly connect it to what people experience in their thoughts, in their feelings, in their vision of the now, and you transition later onto the new, you are rewiring their brain, because you're bringing them from that one experience and you create a new meaning to it. That's what you're doing. So what we are going to do now is we're going to see truly the power. Like, this is not a place where I'm just going to teach. This is a place where we're going to practice all together. So what I would love all of you to do, I'm not sure if we have time for every single one of you, but that is my aim. So who has their phone next to them? I would love for you to grab it. And I would love for you to open it and to get the gallery, or your folder full of photos. And I would love for you to go to your like screen and scroll all the way down, basically like the most recent ones. And I want you to select one of them. And then you're gonna just tell a quick story around it. You're gonna show the photo and you're gonna tell a little bit of the story, and I'm gonna break it down. If we are totally immersed and it's super useful for everybody to go really deep on one, that's what we will do. If we can all go, that's what we will do, but it's all in add on to the group. So what's most useful for the group, that's what we're going to do. And we're also going to make sure we have time for tapping. So Linda, you can check if you did it quote unquote right. What I learned in this whole journey is that you are always right. But Monica will talk about that and she will go through it. So who has a photo selected? The raise of hands. All right. Jessica, could you share in the screen what the photo is that you have, like just like this?
Thank
Can you
you.
go a little closer to the camera so we can all see it? Like all the way, all the way.
Oh, I didn't want it to disappear, so
I'm
that's
gonna
why.
spotlight you for everybody.
All right. So that's a picture of me when I was in first grade. I was always teased by my family and everybody that I was hideous. And I'm going to this retreat. One of the reasons is to kind of heal that old story and let go of that one because it doesn't serve me. I feel that that's one of the reasons I have that fear of the public speaking, because I was conditioned from such an early time that focuses on appearance, and it doesn't serve. I see so many beautiful people in this world, and it has nothing to do with the way they look. It has to do with who they are. You could feel their energy, and I see that now, and I understand things clearly. And so I just want to give a lot of love to this little girl because she needs it.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much. Like, we have an amazing opportunity to dive more into this. First question. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna ask a question. Please, let's just unmute. We're with a smaller group. What feelings do you feel, or what associations around the character of Jessica do you now have? I will go first, like just because maybe the question is not completely clear. I feel chills. I feel vulnerability. I associate that with trust. What comes up for you, Jamie?
What honestly came up for me was that I think you are so beautiful, Jessica, and I have thought that only since last week, because I only met you last week. But like, I would never have guessed that that was any part of your story.
And what does that do for you, Jamie?
What does it do for me? it makes me feel really sad for you, or like sad for the little girl, because that's hard. I have young kids and I understand, like, they're so vulnerable and they take in what they hear. So
Mm. That's beautiful. And I would love the reflection for yourself, because what I'm hearing now, and I think this is the power of storytelling, and this is also the power for you, Jessica, what power you have inside of you, is just because of this small snippet, Jamie is reflecting as her role as a mom and as a mom, right? So what is really the reflection that you feel for yourself, and you're reflecting also with the personality of Jessica. Like, I think it's so beautiful what you're doing now. And I know that this is what you want to dive more into, is like really tell these vulnerable stories, and the willingness that you have to raise your hand first and to share it with this, I think is absolutely amazing. Absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, you know, just kind of what Jamie said is kind of the reason why I want to do this, because I think of how important it is to just be aware of the things that you say. You can influence people so easily. You don't know if you're influencing them in a positive
right.
way or in a negative way. So to just have that awareness, because for me, for example, seeing that this all started from my family, and I'm sure that they had, you know, I've spoken to them since then, and they did not have bad intentions. They were just oblivious. They didn't realize what it did to me. But, you know, I grew up at such an early age, you know, suffering from depression and suicidal thoughts because of those things, because I grew up Colombian, and our culture is, you know, the women are just kind of forced to focusing on their beauty. And if you don't have beauty, they're just like, what do you, you know? And so that's how I felt. And I've lived most of my adult life hating the way I look. And I've heard people say that you're such a beautiful person. What are you talking? And it's like, it's sad that I don't see that. You know, and I still do struggle with it. But I realize like that's not important. It doesn't matter what I look like. What if my face got burned tomorrow? That wouldn't change the human being that I am, and it shouldn't. And I think even, you know, my father, because he was in an accident, he was burned from head to toe. And I know that for him, that was his struggle. And I think that that's why the appearance thing was so important, but I also feel that it gave me a lot of empathy to understand the pain that he could have gone through. And so for me, that's the reason that I want to tell my story. And I want to, because I want to help people just have more awareness of like, listen, it doesn't matter what you're going through every day. Just recognize the people that you are around, and that you can make an impact in the world, and always say something good. You know, if you don't have something good to say, like, you don't have to say anything at all. But you just don't want to, you don't want to say the wrong thing to somebody. Everybody's got challenges in life, but there's so many gifts that can come from our challenges. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the message that we should be sharing, you know?
Yeah. Oh, wow. This is incredible. Like, one more before I'm going like more on a factual basis, because you're doing it so amazingly well. Linda,
Mhm.
are there things that you are learning about Jessica, not on a factual level where she's from, what happened to her dad, but more on an emotional level? Like, do you feel more or less connected to Jessica right now?
I first want to agree with Jamie. You are beautiful, Jessica. And it's sad that, and I'm not even talking about the outside view. I could tell by your words that you are a compassionate person and that you're a good person. And you look at people where if I can't, say something nice, I don't want to say anything to you because I don't want to hurt you. So you're very cognizant of other people's feelings. So that makes you a beautiful person inside and out.
You.
Very, that's so beautiful. Is there anything from your perspective we would like to share, Swellen?
Well, there were the same. I pretty much had also those feelings, but I also realized that she's not alone. I also had
Right.
my dad, for example, the way he kind of did this to me all the time. And also, I was talking to so it's bringing just a bunch of different situations in. Like I was talking to someone last night about their child, and they aren't even aware of what they're putting their child through. She's 2.5 and she's going to kindergarten, in an open kindergarten, and they're supposed to be 3 children to one kindergarten lady, and they're having an open kindergarten with nobody responsible for her. And my understanding is that I don't need to get into that, but I mean, it just really, my heart was bleeding for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. This is the power of stories, you all.
Yeah. And it brings me really close to you. And it, you know, like I feel very connected to you also because of that.
Yes. Yes. How does that for you? How does it feel for you, Jessica, to hear all these beautiful words by you willing to be vulnerable, telling a story that's very, very personal? How is that to receive?
I feel like it just shows me that I'm in the right place, and this is why this is important to me. Like I have this, I've shared with you, I have this intense fear. Like the way you describe rides, which is so weird because I jump out of planes and I find that exciting, and I usually influence people to see the good of it. But for me, that feeling, the way you describe the roller coaster ride, is the way I feel about speaking in public, about opening up vulnerability, because I believe it's like, the focus is I'm going to focus on those one little detail, that one person who could say something vicious and just bring me back to that place. But this just confirms, like, no, why give away that power? When there's so many other people that you can make an impact with that can really, really, truly help. You're not going to influence everybody, but those you don't like, that's okay. It's about the people that matter most, the ones that make that connection with. And that's why I want to do this.
Yeah. Oh, this is so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing. And I see Monica taking ridiculous notes, because this is why we're tapping it out every single time, right? This is why these conversations, these shares are so powerful, because I can tell you the strategies and the skills, and I can tell you story library this and story library that. But unconsciously, and most probably we all have it, well, 100% we all have it based on our human nature, because for every single human, speaking up is scary, because we might be kicked out of our tribe, which helps us survive. So in nature, we're already not that keen on it if we look at human design, right? Then the stories that we have unconsciously stored around speaking, right? What did you hear about about speaking up when you were little? Right? And let's look how this story now becomes a vehicle for transformation, and it's not so much Jessica talking about her own youth. Because what I really want all of you to see is that when we talk about transformation, what could be very easy for Jessica to say is, I'm very passionate about personal development, and I want no one to go through bad things, and I want them all to flourish, because can we agree that when everybody sees the gift in life, life becomes more beautiful, right? It's a beautiful message, but I don't say anything. When she says, I hear once a week, Jessica, you look so hot, from my husband, from my man. And when he says that, I can just not really get it in. This was me when I was younger. What was said once a week at least to that Jessica was, you look so hideous. Who else here hears compliments sometimes that they're not completely fully accepting because you don't believe they're true? I'm talking to you right now. Do you start to see that we're using a story to connect with the now? And then when you now transition to the rest of the story, where you're saying, basically, this is one story block, and maybe we want to dive a little bit deeper into it, right? And then you're saying, so last week I was in a retreat. You're using another story from your story library. Last week I was in a retreat, and I was sitting around the campfire. doing this exercise, you're making it specific so people connect with that. So people start to see the campfire, they start to be there, they start to have the emotions around the campfire, they start to link it and save it in their brain with the emotions that are connected to what they feel is that scenario all about. When you say childhood and you say what kind of living room you were sitting in when you were hearing it, we can see that picture and we start to associate that picture now with your story, which will be linked in our memory forever. Who would never forget the story that Jessica just shared? Because she would saying it in a way was so truly vulnerable. So we felt that vulnerability. We were connecting in our raw human emotions because she was willing to go there. Transformational speaking is not about creating the perfect script. It's about what Swellen just literally said. It's about knowing I am a speaker. This is a speaking opportunity. I know what story to grab and I'm willing to go vulnerable because when I go deep, people are willing to go deep. When I say something about my personal life, people are able to connect with me as a person. The word Colombia came. What are your associations with Colombia? Now she lives in America. I think, oh my God, this woman created opportunities for herself. I admire her even more. She does not need to say this to me. Just by using the word Colombia, and maybe later it's Florida, and later is retreat in some other place, we start to have associations about the meaning for us. So now we're starting to play a game. We're starting to play a game where we bring people from where they are now to where they maybe need to go, and you know that, but they might not see that yet. And you're using stories, either personal ones or more regarding credibility, so they are moving along the whole transformation and they feel connected with you. So when you later say, who would love to go next on this transformation, whatever offer that means for you. Maybe, Jessica, you want to have your own coaching offer. I don't know what exactly, right? Like maybe you want to sell Day with Destiny at the end, right? That could totally be. But then you can say, who would love to dive deeper in what happened into your childhood and how that affects on you now, because you might not even realize what it is yet. Just as me, because blah, 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 blah. And now you're using your own stories as vehicles for transformation. That was incredible. Does it make sense how this all fits together and how just one picture of your gallery can already nudge you? Oh, this was actually also for my story library. So I would write that down and put it in there. And we're going to another one of you. I saw Jamie, you had your hand raised as well. Very fast. Oh, and now we're speakers over here. Ding, 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 ding. I love it. I love it. Oh my God, this is amazing. To see the power of these things and also to see that stories connect to everything. When Jamie says roller coaster, Linda knows now two new stories that she's gonna save. Now Jessica said this about childhood. Who else had now an idea? Oh, this is also a story for me that I forgot. Everybody, right? So by hearing each other's stories and knowing that we want to fill our story library, knowing that we want to bring people from the now and the new, and we're using stories to bring people from A to B, and then to see what's next, and that's going to be your offer. And that's what Linda already did amazing with 8 people, and she has conversations planned. What if, Linda, you're going to use some stories in those conversations, right? What if this is a skill that you can practice everywhere you go? You can even create a reel of telling us a little story and then ask a question at the end so other people can have their breakthrough. If this is something you want to dive deeper with, my Calendly is down below. I have 10 spots of 30 minutes that are absolutely for free. I just want to help you out. Now, is that going to create reciprocity? Yes or yes? Right? Sometimes we think we need our perfect coaching offer in order for us to be a coach and to sell something. But what if you are the offer? And what if you having conversations with people just create that emotional bond? And at some point they're going to ask you, like, do you have something? And you're like, well, I'm creating it together with you. So why don't we go on a ride together where you will be my first beta client and we're going to test it out? Or when you're further on the journey, yes, I do. And this is what it's going to look like. Right? Do we start to see that this is not just a sales, not just public speaking, but this is a marketing and sales strategy that's actually so heart-centered. So you're magnetizing people to you so you can actually transform them on a deeper level. Because with a keynote or a talk alone, you're not going to transform someone's lives forever. We just understand that we want to strategically position it so people are easier in saying yes to their next level, because when they say yes to themselves, we can actually help them on a deeper level. And that is what this is all about. And we don't need to wait for a stage. We don't need to apply for this one moment in time. We know that the moments are everywhere. People are everywhere. And when we show up authentically and we tell our stories, and we come from a place of I'm helping the host look good. I know that when I create vulnerable surroundings, everybody's willing to show up like that. So I'm setting a standard of authenticity because that's the highest frequency we can go to anyways. We're on a journey together, and this is just week 2, lesson 1. Oh my goody badooties. Think about this. Transformational speakers right here. So what I would love is I would love to give one person the chance to share, and then we're gonna tap it out. Is it okay? And I feel that there's a contest going on that I feel uncomfortable about because I don't want to let anyone down but I feel that Swellen is really excited to share. So is it okay if Swellen shares and then we're gonna tap it out? Okay,
Yes.
let's go.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm so happy that I'm not drawing a blank. Monica, you're my hero. You just said 2 words yesterday. Sue Ellen, do this. And I'm just feeling so great. Okay, so I went to UPW and I crewed.
Can you
And,
show the photo, Swellen?
well, okay, this is the photo.
It's Peter.
She was there.
Peter Mather?
Oh, wait. I will pin you. Yes,
Wait,
yes,
I
that
go
Peter.
like this, I guess.
He was awesomely himself, yeah.
And the funny thing is that when I went to UPW, I mean, this was UPW, I went to the foundation and I bought these 3 rings, and it's what I wanted more of. And I had just bought them and I came in and there was Peter. I didn't know that he was there, but in any case, on there, I want more laughter in my life. I want more uh, serenity, and there was something else, but it doesn't matter because the laughter right here is what's important. But I came in and I was so excited to see him. So we hugged, and he realized we didn't do a crew hug. I don't know if you guys knew what a crew hug is. And you normally have the normal this way, and the crew hug is this way because it's heart to heart. And then he went into this big lecture that it's not just a crew hug, it's for everything. And then he was making me practice. He made me practice. He gave me 20 times that I had to practice so that I didn't get in the wrong way again. And of course, the whole time I was laughing. And the funniest part is that he was hugging me so strong that it was squeezing my boobs. And it was so painful. And so 20 times I went through this and I couldn't stop laughing and I couldn't say stop because I was just enjoying myself so much. And I went through all the pain anyways. And at the end, of course, we were also making faces and it was hilarious. So I got my more laughter. And I guess you can probably see even even now when I came in, I'm singing and I'm smiling, and that must be my rings.
Wow. Wow, Sue. I am so proud of you. And I was there in the moment. It was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
That was a beautiful story. And let's reflect on this, because who got an insight for themselves? Whether it's like a next story, whether it's like learning more about Swellen, because she was using very specific things, right? You're not in really strong, Jessica. Are there things that you're learning about Swellen that makes her a more beautiful person than you already thought she was?
Well, I can tell just by the fact that she did crew. I get a sense of who she is. The fact that you know Peter is another good indicator because he's just a heart of gold. He's just such a beautiful person. And I could sense even the fact that you were in pain, that you held that because you wanted to continue to experience the moment and be in it. Like, I know what that feels like, and that's so true. So it just shows, your inner strength of the person that you are and how committed you are to what you want. Because you said, I just wanted to be in the moment and enjoy that, and you did. And it didn't matter how painful it was to your boobs, you still committed to it.
But it
Yeah.
was so heartfelt, such a warm and loving hug every time, you know.
It was
Yeah.
weird. And do we start to see that this story, for example, and this story, this is the beauty. Sometimes we think, there's one keynote, so there's one keynote. But I want to open up it even more because I think we're kind of starting to see that it doesn't have to be one keynote. You start to just understand there's different stories. And sometimes Swellen is going to use this hugging story, but then she has maybe also a roller coaster story. I don't know, like I'm just making this up. And then she thinks, now I'm going to use this story or this story. And we're going to understand why to pick which story. There's different reasons for that. But first we want to fill in the gold of all those stories. That's why you're journaling it in your story library. Yeah, I know Jamie is going crazy with it. She's like, oh, you told us so many times. As we know this now, girl. Yes, it's important. But let's just say that, for example, Smalin, you use this story in the beginning of a training to emphasize we're going to have fun, which I always do, right? There's 3 pillars I always talk about: fun, ease, and impact. So for example, this could be an amazing story that I would tell if I were you, and I would use these same 3 things, right? That I can say, I was in this crew, and exactly how you told it. And then at the end, you say, is it okay if you're going to hold your boobs in this next hour and we're just going to have squeeze the fun out together because it's totally worth it. It might be a little uncomfortable. I might ask you to do some things that you're not used to. But is it okay if we're going to have fun along the ride? Is it okay if we're not suffering through growth, but we're actually smiling about it? Do you see now that you're using the story to set up a teaching moment, to set up a breakthrough for someone else? So it's not you and your story. You're just using you and your story to create and open the window words. So you're not talking about fun. I'm learning from you. I'm now thinking, like I want to maybe think of a story, a picture, or a statement where I can explain fun in an even more fun way, which you just did, right? So what are the generalizations that you can open, which you did with crew, with Peter, with hugs, all those beautiful things. And now it becomes a breakthrough for someone else. So it's not just you and your story, but it's what happens for other people. And the beauty is now I'm giving one example of what this story could tell. But you can also create a whole other teaching point around it. What about change of perspective? We're used to the same hugs. We're used to the same habits. What if we change it up once in a while? Who's willing to change up some habits like I did with the crew hug, right? And I did it 20 times. It was a little bit painful, and that's what happens sometimes when you truly want transformation. Who's willing to dive deep in, right? So now you create the same story for a different transformation. So it's not just that a keynote doesn't have to be one specific script, but we're also starting to see now that stories are for different purposes. I know this journey is fun. It can be easy. And it is very impactful when we start to notice these little tiny shifts. So what I would love, is there anyone with a really hard stop in 6 minutes?
I do.
Yeah. So let's
do,
make
but
sure
I'll
that we're ending at 6 minutes, Monica. And then for people who have we might have a couple of extra minutes, but then at least Jamie, you feel succeeded and not like you're going off in the middle of something.
Thank you.
All right.
Super.
Let's tap. Ooh, all the stories that came up today. All the triggers in your body. All the pictures in your head. Oh, just notice them. And know that there is such amazing transformation and healing available in even such a short of time. Because as we share our stories, as we open our hearts, as we're vulnerable with ourselves and each other and with our audiences, this is it. The open heart And when the story is in the field, is when we can see it and say it and heal it and clear it, and on we go. And Sue Ellen, your transformation blows my freaking mind because of how far you have come so fast from so low and so broken. Oh, and so healed and so here and such a badass, which is what I told you long ago. I saw that badass. And just allowing whatever stories came up, whatever fears came up, whatever images came up, as we tap on these points, we start to relax our bodies with whatever emotions, sensations, images came up. And then tapping on the collarbone points. We're here to be transformational speakers. We're here to be transformational storytellers. We are not only learning, but we're upgrading our identity. We're shifting how we see ourselves. And what we're learning with our stories, like with Jessica, the emotion I felt when I listened to you was pure excitement. Because I have worked with so many women like you. In fact, I remember when I was working with Dean, he's like, who's your target market? Or who's your dot? Didn't try for a dot, but my dot was smoking hot women with daddy issues and eating disorders. And that was my dot. And I didn't try to get it, but I can't tell you how much I've learned about women like you and how excited I am for the transformation ahead for you. And just knowing that all these stories, many of them happen in the eye, a lot of them the fear of death. Jamie, you brought it up. I thought I was going to die. Jessica thought I was going to die. If we feel like we're afraid that we're going to die, and having had died, since I have died and had a near-death experience, it's actually not so bad. So for one thing, not so bad. But number two is this is where we get to live. And what we get to do as transformational speakers is learn how not only do we get to learn from our own experiences and from each other's stories, but we get to share from our big hearts who we're here to be. Whether people have their own fears, they're going to be thrown out of their tribes. I call it the tip. We have our tribe rules, our identity rules, and what we associate pain to. What if I have the tribe rules now that I'm a big soul in a big tribe? And being Colombian is part of my tribe, but I'm actually here in the transformational speaker tribe now. And I speak from my higher self, my beautiful soul. And that's part of what people are looking for now. Yes, it's nice to have a beautiful body and a beautiful face, but the beautiful soul is what is shining and what is connecting and what is healing and transformational. It's that big, beautiful soul we keep working on, go to retreats for, come to classes with. Oh, and just knowing we get to enjoy the teaching moments that we get to share with each other and with our audiences, because even a small little moment like this, I know is already transformational. I know your retreat will be different, Jessica, because of this time together now. And having the gratitude that we get to have our own journey and our own transformation. We get to share our own stories, what we came here to do, what we came here to learn. We got prepared. It's not a story of victimhood. It's a story of preparation. I see the preparation each of you has been having in your life. But it seems like hard stories are actually moments of preparation for the stories you're here to share and the lives you're here to transform. And getting to come from that gratitude, the fear of public speaking gets to shift into the gratitude that you get to have this kind of experience. And what I'm literally wiping tears in my eyes watching you, Sue Ellen. It's like, there's nothing that frickin' feels like this. And I'm flying to Maui in a couple hours, and I know that's not going to be one moment there that's going to feel as good as watching you, Sue Ellen. Really effing true.
You.
Yeah.
I'm amazed myself. I mean,
know.
if you would know how much I would never even speak.
Never, never. So that's the journey we get to do. Thank you, Lori, for creating the space for this kind of transformation for all of us. And back to you.
Yes, 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 yes. Being a transformational speaker means that you're going through a transformation yourself. The reason why I asked you to record a video, which I highly would ask you all to do, like maybe even like literally after this class and do it twice a week, is because you're going to see your own development in the way you tell stories, but you're also really anchoring the information in, right? So when you create a video about your biggest breakthrough of today's lesson, you're basically summarizing it for yourself. But more beautifully, you're going to watch those recordings in week 8 and you're like, oh my God, look at myself. I'm amazing. I was amazing, and I'm just unfolding more of my amazingness. This is incredible. So, Jamie, I know you have a hard stop, so have fun with your next thing. In
Thank
the
you.
little video that I send you all, I explained a super cool bonus that I already shared a little bit about in our one-on-ones that some of us already had, is that you all have access now to recordings of the transformational journey. So in this pod, we are tying in every single video together and we're intertwining it and doing it right in the moment. But if you want to dive deeper into a little bit about storytelling and really go through a video of it, you have access to all of it. So see that as an extra thing. You don't need it in order for us to get to the results. This is really a present from me to you, that you have access to as well. Together with something I shared yesterday in the bonus training. That's some of you I think were, some of you weren't. You all get the replay, so if you want to watch that, you totally have access to it forever. You're in my pod, you have all the cool stuff forever. So the next 8 weeks there will be a new group starting on Mondays. That group will not be, you know, like small and together as this one, right? They're just people coming in and it's growing and growing and growing. But if you want to join that as well, you're more than welcome to. Also, that is an extra bonus. So don't feel overwhelmed like, oh my God, this is an extra hour. It doesn't have to be at all to get your breakthroughs. I just want to give it as a gift that if it fits for you and if it feels like it's aligned on your journey right now and you would love to join, then you're more than welcome and then you're my guest. Okay? So I will invite you to those calendar invites as well, that if you want to join, you have the right Zoom link, you have the right timing. And right before class, you all got access to the course itself as well. So it's in your inbox. If not, then let me know and I'll make sure that will happen too. So for now, just embrace the beautiful beautifulness of you. Record a video of your biggest breakthrough. Keep filling in your story library. And based on what we talked about on the now and the new, if you did not yet like really wrote it down, or because of stuff that we talked about, new insights about thoughts and feelings that your audience may or may not have, can be added to that, keep filling that as well. Those two pieces are going to be basically the kitchen full of ingredients when we start cooking. Okay, so those things you always want to keep adding things to. It can never be finished. It can never be not enough. Make sense? All right, then I'm gonna see all of your beautiful faces tomorrow again. Same group, same link, same time, just tomorrow. Okay? Looking forward to your breakthrough videos, you all. And by the way, these wins that we're all sharing over here, the WhatsApp group right now is a little, if I would say it, growing into a more active space. So if you have super cool wins to share on a Tuesday, be wild and share it already in a WhatsApp group. Okay, this is really also you're helping accountability throughout the week to think, oh my God, Linda is doing 8 people. Like, wow, wow. Jamie's going live. Why don't you just share the link so we can all like and comment and support you? So with whatever you're doing, feel free to share it. Like, I highly invite you to share it all in this group because we're truly here to support you along the whole journey, not just on 2 times a week. Okay? Mwah! See you all tomorrow.